Well, ironically, I don't think I am the run-of-the-mill, normal path to becoming a lawyer and then a professor. My mom doesn't know how to read or write, so I was the first one to graduate from college, the first one to go to law school. In fact, I think the very first time I ever met a lawyer or a judge was I was mugged at gunpoint in the driveway of my home, and they caught the guy, so I had to go to trial. And that whole process was just fascinating to me, being in a courtroom and being the witness, because I had to link him to my car that would then link him to a murder. And the defense attorney was pretty brutal on me, saying that I couldn't recall certain things because of the trauma and how quickly everything went by. But I stuck to my guns because I knew the truth and I knew what I had experienced. And after the hearing, the judge told me to stay behind. And he said, "Have you ever considered a career in law?" And I was a teenager, so I just said no, kind of rolled my eyes like I just wanted to go. And he said, "You should think about it. There's just something about you." And I thought, here this judge who is a big deal is telling me that he sees something. Maybe I should go and explore it. So I had started college at the age of 16, so I went back to the library, and they had these books on career paths and whatnot. And the University of Puerto Rico, where I went, they didn't have a strong criminal justice program. And I thought when he said something in law, it was like a corrections officer or something like that. So I looked up, now I know the book was the Martindale Hubble. And it has like all of these legal connections and how to apply to different schools in the United States. And I saw they had this school, John Jay School of Criminal Justice in New York. And I was born in New York, even though I grew up in Puerto Rico, because my mom lived on the mainland to give birth to her children. And then we went back to Puerto Rico. So that's where I grew up. So I knew of New York, and John Jay was like, oh, well, I could go to John Jay School of Criminal Justice. So I basically worked for an entire semester and saved up to move to the U.S. And I had a sister who lived in New Jersey, and I said, okay, well, New Jersey's close enough to New York, not knowing really the fine details. And I packed my bags and I left. And I realized really quickly John Jay was far. I could not go. But there was Rutgers University very close to where I lived, so I applied. And I had to take your English as a second language classes, so I took that for a year. And then I finally got into regular class, and I was a criminal justice major. So I got my degree in criminal justice. And then I found myself, by the time I graduated in '94, I was already married, working at a law firm as a receptionist and going to school at night. And I wanted to start a family. So I took 4 years to try to have a family, and I had a lot of issues. I lost 6 babies until I finally had my David. So I think in one of those ruts, my husband was like, you need to think about something else. Why don't you go to law school? You've always said that you want to do that. And I didn't know where to start. So he went and got the application for me for Seton Hall. And I applied to Rutgers because I had gone to Rutgers in undergrad. So those were the only 2 schools I applied. They were close by where I could take the bus to go. I got into Seton Hall and I got waitlisted at Rutgers. And then I started at Seton Hall and I got pregnant my first semester. So I had my David. Seton Hall has like a reading week. So I had my David, and then during reading week, and then came back and took my finals. So education, the study of law, has been an integral part of my kid's life, because I had David in law school and then my youngest also in law school. They've always seen me practice law and go to school and all of that. But if you look at my life on the island and you think, okay, this is where Vicky, because that's what they call me at home, this is where Vicky is headed, I don't think you could put those 2 worlds together. So when the opportunity to teach came along, for me, an educator is like 10 levels above practicing law. And I know it sounds weird. When I told my dad, he's like, what? You're not going to be a lawyer? But preparing people to become lawyers, and for someone that comes from a mother who doesn't know how to read or write and become an educator in your field, in the law, I can't even describe it. It gives me, like, I get emotional because I can't even put it in context what it means to me. But I know that my boys, when they talk about me, their heart fills with pride when they say my mom is a law professor, more so than my mom is a lawyer and kicks butt.